I wish I was gay sooner, not because I'm like ashamed of my journey or it took a long time, just because I feel like I can finally be myself now, and I have become myself now, and I don't have to have this like piece of myself that I'm hiding. And honestly, I feel so vulnerable filming this right now, and I feel a little like embarrassed. It's like the fear of being seen is really coming through right now, but we're just gonna go with it because I wish I had more people like me online to really help me figure out who I am. So I'm gonna like do that now, because honestly, having representation online in the like late 2010s, the early 2020s, like all of this has helped me and shaped my own journey. So why the heck not make this video? Happy Pride Month. Here we go. Let's get into it. So I'm actually filming this at my girlfriend's place. She is right in front of me and I'm a little nervous because this is like the first time I'm filming a YouTube video in front of her. Her cat is right here. We have a foster dog right now that we just got a few days ago, and he's the sweetest little boy, and he has a little rainbow pride collar on. And then we have her other cat somewhere. I don't know where she is, but anyways, I'm sitting here filming this video and I'm like, what the heck would my life look like if I hadn't like been brave and just faced my fears and put away all the fear of what everyone else was thinking of me or how they were gonna judge me or whatever. Like how different my life would look right now. It would be so flipping different. And actually I was talking to a friend probably like a week ago, and we were talking about how a few years ago we were like, okay, we have to get out. We have to like really branch out, be ourselves, step into more queer spaces, because I feel like we were still in like the isolation phase a little bit of COVID and still hadn't really gotten out of that. And yeah. So anyways, let's get into it. Let's talk about the before, the like straight phase. Straight was a phase for me, okay? I was never straight, always have been queer. There was a lot of questioning, right? I don't think questioning necessarily like means that you're queer or anything, but like literally since I was 12 years old, I was like, don't be gay, don't look gay, don't let anybody think you're gay. I don't necessarily think that's 100% something that everyone experiences and they're like, oh yeah, I am queer, and they have this like aha moment. But I look back on my life and I'm like, this makes so much sense. Like my little self sitting in a Catholic school classroom, and I was just trying to fit into this box. I think I have some people in my life who are like, yeah, it's so much easier to be queer, to be gay, whatever. And yeah, it's easier than it was, 50, 70 plus years ago, of course, 100 years ago, of course. But that doesn't mean it's like easy. And it definitely depends on the circles you're in. It depends on the environment, the society you grew up in, where you grew up, what kind of are the values of the people you grew up around. I think it really does truly deeply impact you. As someone who grew up in a Catholic environment, it was really hard to be like, yes, this is who I am, when you are taught a certain thing. And going to a school where you talk about Jesus every day and all of that, and again, there are very like progressive, accepting Christians in the world and accepting people of other faiths in the world, but yeah, I think just my experience growing up, going to Catholic school, remembering all the things I was taught in terms of sexuality and romance and like your calling and da 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 da. There was a lot of shame and a lot of like guilt feeling, a lot of just being scared of fully just accepting myself from the start. So I think a lot of just growing up in Catholicism, this is just my personal experience, but growing up in Catholicism in kind of a more religious environment, but still kind of chill, not like super crazy. Like we went to church every Sunday, and obviously I went to Catholic school every day during the week. And so there was a lot of like religion around me, a lot of talk of religion, a lot of just religion embedded into my day-to-day life because of school and church and all of that. And I think there is a lot of like fear-based stuff with some religion, and that was just like my experience. There was a lot of fear, and so there was a lot of fear of being wrong. There was a lot of like guilt around not being perfect and like being a sinful person and da 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 da. And I never thought or was taught that being gay was a sin, but I was taught that it's like your cross to bear. And I think that is a bunch of crap. As a kid, it's like you don't want to be this person where it's like you can be, it's okay to be gay, but you can't act on it. Like, what the heck are you teaching people when you say stuff like that? Like, that is so hard to break when you're a young kid being taught that. It's so hard to break. Even as a person who knew there was nothing wrong, there's still so much internalized homophobia that you have to fight. And I talk about this with some people in my life. We got it. You're so comfortable with being yourself at a certain point in life and you're just like, whatever, we got this, screw what anyone else thinks. But like, there's still some stuff that comes up every once in a while. There's still some stuff when you're around certain people where you're like, starting to self-doubt, and not doubting your sexuality, but like questioning what they're thinking of you and questioning how they are perceiving and judging you. It's just hard to break all of these like societal things that we grew up with and all of the homophobia that we grew up with. And it's hard to break past that. But when you finally do, when I finally did, it felt so freaking freeing. Okay, so let's get into the realization. How the heck did I even figure it out? Because it took me a minute. So there was college. Obviously, I'd been like telling myself not to be queer for a while, not to be gay, not to look gay, not to let people think you are gay. And then I hit college and I was like, okay, I'm around all these people who like didn't know me. I have this like new energy, this new environment, this new state that I was in for college. And I was like, okay, no one knows me. Like, no one's thinking this of you. You can just exist and live comfortably, and you don't have people like knowing your entire life story, which I kind of liked. Not that it was a bad life story or anything, but I just think it was nice to come into this fresh new space without anyone knowing who you are. And it just felt kind of freeing. I think I was less judgmental of myself, and I just allowed myself to be free and be seen fully as who I was. And that was nice, and that was wonderful. And I was in like a very progressive, liberal environment, very open-minded, very accepting environment. I did theater, and it was just a great space to kind of figure out my sexuality. I will say I wasn't around like a ton of necessarily sapphic people who were super out, but then I started seeing people come out. Then I started seeing people figure out who they were, and I was already questioning a lot of things, and I'm not gonna get into the nitty-gritty of everything, but truly I had a friend come out to me as bi, and I was like, oh, yeah, I think I'm queer. And honestly, I think it's because I just didn't have a lot of queer representation in my own little like personal bubble. Like, I didn't have a lot of queer sapphic humans. I had a lot of gay men that I was like friends with, but I didn't have lesbians, queer women really in my bubble until college. And that's really when I was really like, is this me? And it really took one of my friends coming out to me to figure it out and be like, yeah, this is me. And I don't know if it's necessarily that I didn't have the language or what it was, but I think I just needed someone close to me in my life. I met her thinking that she was straight and saying that she was straight. And I think just seeing her come out and talking about how she realized it and like how she came to terms with it really did help me. And I know that's kind of cheesy, but I think when you grow up in an environment where you're not seeing any sapphic people. I didn't really know any sapphic people, maybe like a couple of people in high school, but I really didn't have a lot of women specifically for me identifying as queer or lesbian or whatever it was, or bis. A light bulb in my brain went off when she came out to me and I was like, yeah, I'm queer too. And then we dated for a bit. For the next several years, I still was not ready to fully come out. I really wasn't fully out to a ton of people in my life at that point. It was very much like just my small, close group of friends knew, and some other friends knew here and there, but like I wasn't fully ready to come out to everyone. For the next few years, like I continued dating men as well. And I was in a relationship long-term with a guy, and then the pandemic happened and I was like, okay, we're questioning things again. I thought I was bi for a long time, and then I was like, okay, I don't think I can actually be with a man. There is a huge part of a relationship that's missing, and it's not fair to either of us to keep this going. I think the pandemic was such a pivotal, huge moment in my life because the world shut down. you really had to self-reflect, or at least I really self-reflected. I kind of had to face everything in the mirror, and not gonna lie, I know several people in my life where the clock app played a huge part and a huge role in them figuring out their queerness, and I think it's just simply because there's not a ton of sapphic representation. It's just interesting that a social media app like that, that's really easy to use and make videos with, that's where a lot of sapphic humans saw themselves, saw queer representation, saw more people being themselves, and then it gave them the courage to be brave, to come out, da 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 da. It's been a long journey of actually like figuring out my sexuality, because it's been honestly like, I mean, if we're not counting the questioning bits, it's been about a decade to like get from like coming out to myself for the first time, coming out to a small group of friends, to being here, thriving, and like everyone knows now, and I'm not afraid to hide it, and I am like happy in a relationship right now. It's just crazy when you think about like the past 10 years, or like even when I was 12 years old sitting in a classroom and thinking about how I was terrified of being this one identity, and now I'm sitting here and I'm happy. Let's get into the after. After realizing that I'm queer and I am a sapphic human and I only want to date women and non-binary people, let's talk about the after. My last breakup with a man was rough. I think it was like coming to terms with all of these things I was afraid of, and finally facing it and having to do the inner work and going to therapy and like unpacking a lot of this, unpacking a lot of the internalized homophobia, unpacking past stuff that has just happened in my life that has made it hard to fully step into my authentic self and fully step into who I am and letting other people perceive me and see me for who I am. I think that was the hardest part for me as someone who is a recovering people pleaser, and I would go as far as to say an ex-people pleaser. I really struggled with people viewing and judging me a certain way. And I think that was just the biggest battle I had, stepping into my authentic self. But now I'm here. After I had my last breakup with a man, I got on the dating apps. It took a while. It took several years. I was like, I am not dating until I feel good with myself, until I feel like I've done enough healing, until I have really figured out who I am by myself, which is hard too, because I feel like a lot of my identity has even blossomed in this relationship that I'm in right now. Like I really feel like I have become more confident and more myself in being in this relationship, because being a sapphic human is such a big part of my identity, and you don't have to be in a relationship to feel fulfilled in this life. But I really feel like being in this relationship has helped me be fully me and fully accept me, and helped me be even more confident in who I am. But back to the dating apps. I got on Hinge. Thank you. I got on Hinge and on Her. Hinge is the one that worked out for me. And honestly, I got most of my dates from Hinge. I think I only got one from Her, but now I am in a relationship, and have been in a relationship for the past year, with a woman, and it's wonderful. It has changed my life, and I feel vulnerable saying that. I don't think a lot of people realize how big of a deal it is when you're so afraid to be yourself. Most queer people are going to relate to this and going to understand how hard and how big of a deal it is to like fully admit it to yourself, and then the journey of fully allowing yourself to be seen and perceived as the person that you are is the hardest journey in the flipping world. It's still hard sometimes for me. Like, there's still some people that I know are homophobic. It's really hard to be seen in front of them as this queer person. And I'm not saying you have to get over it. I think it's more so me accepting myself more, and accepting my identity more, and accepting my queerness more, and being able to be seen, and knowing that whatever they're thinking and whatever they're judging of me is no reflection of me. It's not a reflection of me. It's not a reflection of you. It's truly just kind of dumb. stupid and not actually people's life experiences. Like, I'm just telling you, this is my real life experience and this is how I feel, and I feel so deeply and I care so deeply, and like, if this is who I love, this is who I love, and you gotta get over it. And I know people aren't gonna get over it, but I just want to be myself, and being myself is the most beautiful thing in the world, and it has changed my life, and I think everyone needs to be themselves. During COVID, I was so isolated, especially right after the breakup. I was being isolated, obviously, because of COVID. That also made it harder, and I did focus on like my healing journey and doing all the inner work and figuring out who I am and what I want and how I want to see my life go and da-da-da-da-da. And I think about, I was talking to a friend the other week, and we were talking about how different life looks now in comparison to like a few years ago, 4 years ago, whatever, 555 on the clock. It is crazy. And it really came from, one, stepping into our authentic selves. She also came out during the pandemic and figured out who she was and all of that jazz. And it really came from finding community. Finding community, being yourself, dating people, like it feels so good to be seen, not just by people who like have known you forever, but to be accepted by a community of people who identify in the community that you're in and get it and see you and know how hard it is. And especially with the current, political climate going on, like it's just nice to be in community with people. Like, I don't think I could have gotten through everything I did. I don't think I could have felt more myself without finding some sort of community and without finding some sort of friends. So if I could give anyone any piece of advice, like, yeah, you can live through the world being queer and like only having straight friends and straight family around you, and they can be the most accepting people in the world. For me, I needed queer community. And not just queer community, I needed sapphic community. I needed to be around non-men who get it, who understand, and who fully see you and know your experience and can help you just be seen and shine and be your authentic self. And I can't tell you what it is like to fully be accepted and feel more and more like yourself every single day. And even when you are fully yourself and you are queer, like I feel so relieved. I wish I could put it into words how the past few years, the past several years, my life has completely changed. My life has done a complete 180. I feel like I am a completely different person. I'm the same person, obviously, but I feel like myself. And I feel more grounded and I feel more at ease. I don't feel like I'm in fight or flight all the time. Maybe sometimes, but like, I feel like for the most part, I have this big sense of relief. I have this big sense of peace. I feel like my life is more peaceful. And there are people who don't get it, some like extended people in my life that aren't super close to me. It is really hard to face certain people, and I do get a little, don't like being around that. Also, you don't have to be around that. There's different things people do. Some people are okay with being around people who are homophobic. Some people are not okay with being around people who are homophobic. And like, you just have to like figure that out and navigate that on your own. But obviously I am trying to just be around people that actually see me for who I am and accept me and love me. And not just that, celebrate me and celebrate everyone in the LGBTQ plus community. I look back at 12-year-old me who started questioning things, who started telling herself in my little Catholic school classroom not to be gay, don't be seen as gay, don't let anyone think you're gay, da-da-da-da-da. I wish I could go back and let her see me as a queer lesbian woman in the world and tell her that it's okay and you're gonna find people who are like you. I bet there were queer people in that classroom, but no one knew that growing up. No one talked about it. People were saying that's gay growing up. So I wish I could go back and show her this life that I have now, because it's so stinking beautiful and I'm not gonna cry. I love you. I love you too. It takes a lot. And it's not easy, and it's not the easiest path, and it's really hard when you have repressed who you are and you've heard all of the bad homophobic things in life growing up as an adult and you keep those thoughts in your brain and they play over and over again and you have all this self-doubt and you're so scared and you're scared of being perceived, you're scared of being seen by the people who have known you your whole life. I feel like it's easier for me to be seen by new people than to be seen by people who have known me since I was like a baby or a young child. And it's a lot. And you should be proud of yourself. And we should all be patting ourselves on the back for being our authentic selves and celebrating ourselves, whether you're queer or another marginalized group. Like, it's so hard being fully yourself and celebrating yourself when so many people in the world are telling you that there's something wrong with you, or you shouldn't be proud of who you are, or you shouldn't be celebratory, and you should be hiding this part of yourself. You should be really proud. So I just want to say it's never too late. As someone who took about a decade to fully get to this point, from like coming out and realizing I was queer to honestly fully embracing myself, stepping into my authentic self and fully not hide anymore. It took a long time. It took a decade. It truly took me a decade. For some people it takes a year. For some people it takes 5 years. You know, however long it takes for someone, it is hard and it really is impacted by how you grew up and the communities you grew up in. It really does impact you. Happy Pride. I hope this helped someone out there. I don't know if it did. I don't know if it will. I know if I had more of these videos growing up, I think I would feel more seen and more heard and be less afraid. I did have some videos like this growing up. Not a lot, but I had a few and they really did help me. And I would bawl my eyes out when someone would come out online on YouTube back in the 2010s. And I think it's just important to share our stories more and talk about it. And it's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing to fully be yourself and not hide, especially when you're in environments where you don't see yourself. Happy Pride Month. I hope you guys are celebrating. I hope you're being yourselves, and I will talk to you later.